शङ्करांश भूम शङ्करार्यपीठसद्गुरुन् शुद्धसत्त्वभासुरान् सुवर्त्मनीतभूसुरान् सर्वभूतसौख्यदान् क्षमाकरान् यतीश्वरान्.
It's good that one of you pointed this out to me. So I started like this after saying the shlokas. The first one is Aparokṣānubhūti prochate moksha siddhaye sadbireva prayatnena ubhikshaniya muhurmuhu. So with that shloka we started. So here the 15 yoga angas that have been discussed in the 103rd shloka, they are going to be taken up for a detailed discussion in the rest of the work here, and that will go on in 21 shlokas. That's what Swami Vidyaranya has mentioned. So the first one is yama. So the yama is described as in a peculiar way in the Advaita Vedanta, whereas yama, niyama, all these things have a different meaning altogether in the Yoga Shastra. So here we will be discussing this yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all these things with a different meaning, special meaning given to them in Advaita Vedanta. So here the first one that is being taken up for discussion is the yama. So the shloka, yama shloka is sarvam brahmeti vijnanat indriya grama sanyamaha yamoyamiti samproktaha abhyasaniyo muhurmuhu. So the meaning is with the firm conviction that everything is Brahman, a person has to attempt to restrain the organs. What organs? The 5 sense organs and the 5 motor organs and the manas. That is the antakaranam, that is the inner organ. So all these things have to be restrained with the idea that everything is Brahman. Because this is being stated because all these organs are naturally directed to the outside world only. So whenever a person contacts the sound or taste or touch or whatever, he has to bring in the feeling consciously that it is Brahman or it is not a tree or a pot that I am seeing, it is Brahman that I am seeing. So this is the idea he has to inculcate in his own mind by repeated practice. So he says, Bhagavad says, yamo ayam iti samproktaha abhyasaniyaha muhurmuhu. It has to be practiced rigorously again and again without break. So this is the first one. So for that, Swami Vidyaranya is commenting, idanim etesham pratyekam nirdeshakramena swabhimatani lakshananyaha sarvam ityadi ekavimshatya. So that in 21 verses, all the 15 angas that have been spoken of in the 103rd shloka, they are going to be explained. By giving his own meaning, that is, Bhagavad will give his own definitions for each of them, which are all in accordance with the Upanishads only, with accordance with Vedanta. So the sarvam akashadi, sarvam, what is meant by sarvam is akashadi dehantam jagat. So the whole world is constituted of the panchabhutas, and among the panchabhutas, the akasha is the subtlest one, and the offshoot of the panchabhuta, the grossest one, is the body of the human body. That is, any body, any gross body of any animal or whatever, that body is the grossest one. So these are the two extremes, and the whole thing constitutes Brahma, Jagat. And for this, Akashadi Dehantam, the basis is the familiar Taittiriya Upanishad, Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha, Akashad Vayuhu, Vayoragnihi, Agnirapaha, Adhyah Prithvi, Prithivya Oshadayaha, Oshadibhyo Annam, Annat Purushaha. So this is the Upanishad basis for this. To define what is Jagat, and one has to contemplate and arrive at the firm conclusion that everything that is contacted either by indriyas or by remembering or recalling to the mind, or so the inner and outer jnanam the person gets from the world is nothing but Brahman. And this equation that Jagat is Brahman is based on a peculiar method called Badayam Samanadikaranyam. So Vidyaranya says, Bada Samanadikaranya Dwara Sthanu Purushavate Sthanu Purushadivate Itartaha. So he is giving an example also for that. Analogy also is given, which is familiar in Vedanta. So he says, Bada Samanadikaranyam means it is actually Badayam Samanadikaranyam. This is used in all places where a Brahma is involved. Wherever an error is involved, the error can be of so many types we are familiar with, like rope is taken to be a snake, shell is taken to be silver, and the example articulated by Swami Vidyaranya is a pole or a pillar is wrongly taken to be a person. So Sthanu Purushadivata. So here in all these cases, when the Brahma is alive, the person doesn't know what the substratum is. So he continues in the error only, taking it as the real, as the true knowledge, real knowledge there, real thing there. But then when the knowledge about the underlying substratum arises, then immediately the error goes off. So the error goes off is technically stated in Vedanta as Badha. The snake, superimposed snake, undergoes Badha. That is what is meant by Badhayam Samanadikaranam. So when that happens, he himself will realize, whether he articulates it or otherwise, he will realize that the snake that I have been seeing so far is actually nothing but the rope. So snake is equal to rope. This equation will not make sense in a normal situation, but then in this special situation, it will make all sense. So that is why it is called Badhayam Samanadikaranam is equation. So the snake is equal to rope means here the rope is what is wrongly seen as snake. And so now what was wrongly seen as snake is nothing but the rope. So in the same way, a person mistakes a pillar to be a human, and someone tells him that no, there is no person there really, there is only a pillar there. So when this realization happens, so the Purusha is equal to the Sthanu. So this is the meaning of this Badhayam Samanikaranam. In the same way, the Jagat is nothing but Brahman. So that is the idea one has to inculcate in order to practice this first limb called Yama. Then further Swami Vidyaranya says, iti Vijnanat Nishchayat. Vijnana means in the shloka the word Vijnana is there. So Vijnana means Nishchaya. That is the firm conviction that the world is nothing but Brahman. Vijnanat Nishchayat Hetoho Indriyanam Shrotradinam Ekadasha Karananam Gramaha Samuhaha Tasya Sanyamaha Samyak Shabdadi Vishayanam Vinashitva Satishayatva Dukkhatvadi Dosha Darshanat Yamaha Vishayabhyaha Nivaranam Ayam Yamaha iti Samproktaha Natu Kevalam Ahimsadihi ityartaha. So in this long sentence, Vidyaranya Swami is conveying that by the practice of this Yama, how it has to be practiced and what happens because of that. So this Nishchaya, that is, this conviction has to be there first, that this Jagat is nothing but Brahman. Nishchayat hetoho. With that conviction, a person, whenever his organs, sense organs or motor organs are trying to become active, then he has to bring in this thought very firmly and see that the activity of these organs is very, very greatly restrained. It cannot be fully stopped, no doubt, because if all the Indriyas are physically stopped forever, then he can't even be alive. So all these things we have to keep in mind when this kind of advice is given to us. So Vijnanat Nishchayat Hetoho Indriyanam. What are the Indriya? Shrotradinam Ekadasha Karananam. So he is giving the number also. So Shrotradi Ekadasha means the Shrotradi Pancha Jnanendriyani, then Hasta Panipadadi Pancha Karmendriyani, and the Antakaranam, which is also the Antarindriya. So with all these put together will be Ekadasha Indriyanam. Gramaha. Grama means Samuhaha, the group of these organs. Tasya Sanyamaha. Samyak Shabdadi Vishayanam Vinashitva Satishayatva. So with what values he has to do this, so that is being given here. So the world of objects or the world of sense objects are nothing but sources of these problems. What are those problems? Vinashitva. They will definitely undergo destruction sometime or the other, because all of them are subject to the Shadbhava Vikara of Jayate, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Nashyate. So all the five or all the six or some of the six will definitely be there in any of the created things in the world. So Vinashitva is the first one. Satishayatva means if you seek one object, there is definitely in the world another object which is greater than that or better than that. So this also is there. So the running after the objects will be a never-ending thing. So this is the another dosha which one has to inculcate here for in order to get vairagyam and restrain the senses. So satishayatva means there is something always which is greater than something. So if you aim for a post somewhere, there is always a greater post. If you aim for some object, there is also always a better object. So this is the idea. Then dukkhatvadi, dukkhadattvadi means it will definitely give misery only. It will never give real happiness at all. So the happiness might be there in the beginning, or it might be a very passing, fleeting one. But actually, when we analyze what that happiness is, it is actually dukkham only. So dukkhadattvadi adipadena, various other things also, according to our creative ability, we can introduce those things also as values and then practice this. Dosha darshanatha, these are the defects one has to see in them. See in the sense, one has to realize these defects are there in the objects. This is called yamaha. Vishayabhyaha nivaranam. So from the sense objects, the organs have to be restrained. Ayam yamaha iti samproktaha. So now he adds a remark which is very, very crucial. Natu kevalam ahimsadihi ityarthaha. So in the Patanjali system, the yama is defined as ahimsa, satyam, akrodaha, asteyaha, and brahmacharya. So these things he has to practice. Ahimsa is non-injury. Then satyam is sticking to truth. Then asteya is non-stealing, not coveting somebody else's property or whatever, object or whatever. And then brahmacharyam is also there. So these are the himsa, akrodha. Then non-anger also. So these are the 5 yamas stated by the Patanjali system. So he says, na kevalam. So the Vedanta doesn't reject them altogether. Vedanta definitely approves them. But then in this context, yama means not just those things, but actually the restraint of the senses with the idea that everything is Brahman. So this is the first one. Tatascha kim ataha abhyasiniyaha iti. So what is the point of knowing this? He says it has to be practiced rigorously. So abhyasiniyaha muhurmuhu, again and again. I am muhurmuhu abhyasiniyaha iti. Then in the next one, 105th shloka, sajatiya pravahascha vijatiya tiraskritihi niyamaha hi paranandaha niyamat kriyate budaihi. So here the meaning of the shloka is sajati. It is actually a flow of same or similar thought currents, with the exception or to the exclusion of any opposite thought currents. So sajatiya pravaha, the thought process has to be of the same kind or type, but then it has to be in the exclusion of any opposite type. Vijatiya tiraskritihi niyamaha. This is called niyamaha. This yields bliss, paranandaha, niyamat kriyate budaihi. The knowers of Brahman, or the knowers of the Brahma Vidya, the paths to Brahma Vidya, they very, very rigorously, very regularly, they practice this. So that's what the shloka says. So here in the explanation of Swami Vidyarani, we've got a lot of things to know. Evam yamam lakshayitva niyamam lakshayiti. After having stated about the yama, the niyama is being spoken of here. Sajatiyati. Sajatiyam pratyaka bhinnam param brahma. So what is sajatiyam? Sajatiyam means pratyaka bhinnam. Pratyak means the innermost atman, that is the atman which is distinct from the panchakoshas, which are anatman actually. So the atman which is distinct from panchakoshas is called the pratyak atman, which is called, pratyak means innermost, pratyak atman, and that is non-different from Brahman. That is the Mahavakyartha here. So in every body, in every person, this Pratyekatma is present, but then that Pratyekatma has to be known not as something which is confined to that body, but it is nothing but the all-pervading Brahman. So that is the idea. So the Mahavakyartha has been now already introduced. Pratyekabhinam Brahma, Param Brahma, Tadekakaraha vritti pravahaha, sajatiya pravahaha. So Tadekakaraha means all vrittis, every vrittis that comes in a person, arises in a person's mind, has to be Brahmakara vritti. So that is the idea here. Tadekakaraha ka vrittihi, vritti pravaha. So that should be the flow. The current has to be Brahman thought has to be the continuous flow in this practice. Sajatiya pravaha. Yadva, he is giving an alternative meaning. Sajatiyanam asango. Sajatiyana means he is saying asangoham abhikriyoham ityadi pratyega bhinna brahma pratyayanam pravaha. So he is now giving us some tips how we can practice this. So one is the same Brahman, that is a Brahman without any distinction in the upadhis. That is, upadhi means what I am saying is Akanda Brahma or Jagat Karanam Brahma or Jagat Adhishtanam Brahma. This is not the kind which has been stated in the first practice. But in the second type of practice, what he says as an alternative, one can even contemplate this way: Asangoham, Shuddhoham, Akandoham, Sarvoham. So this kind of thing is taught here. So this is the Anusandhanam practice given for a Nididhyasana. So Sajatiya Manasaha. So it has to be of the same class. It shouldn't be of a different class. So that is the idea here. In the first one, the same type, the same similar thought has to come. Whereas here, it is not of that type, but it is of a variety is suggested here. But all that variety belongs to one particular class itself. So Asangoham, that's why he's giving examples also. Asangoham, Abhikriyoham, ityadi. So Bhagavad Pada's stotras are many in this for a person to practice, like Nirvana Shatkam, Dashashloki. These are all very, very, even Dakshinamurti Stotram also has a lot of such ideas. So, ityadi pratyeka bhinna pratyayanam pravaha cha punaha vijatiya tiraskriti. So it's not only that a person has to see that the similar thought currents are maintained, he is also to take care of one more thing, that is the opposite thought currents should not be entertained. So that is what is stated by vijatiya tiraskriti. So here vijatiyam brahmatma vilakshanam, that which is everything that is distinct from Brahmatma. Brahmatma means here he has already equated or identified Atma with Brahman. So everything other than Brahmatman will be Vijatiya. That is the world naturally. Vijatiya Lakshana, Brahmatma Vilakshanam, Jagat. So that's the world. So apart from Brahman, what is there? It's world only. But then world is not a second one after Brahman, but it's actually world is Mithya. So a Mithya object can never be taken as counting to be second one. So in a rope snake example also, there is only one thing there, that's the rope, but then superimposed one is a snake. So at no time there are two things there, like the rope and snake. So the snake can never be counted as a second one because it is a non-entity really. So Brahmatma Vilakshanam Jagate Purva Samskarat Jayamana Tadakara Vritihi Tirtaha. So he says, whenever a person starts to practice this Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, the immediate or the by default, what is going to come as a problem to him is, or what is going to be there as a hurdle to him is the Purva Samskara Janita Jagat Vishaya. So his previous samskaras are so strong that they will definitely bring the world thoughts to him. So one has to take care of this. So this is a challenge here in this practice. So Purva Samskarat Jayamana Tadakara Vrittiyataha. Tasya Tiraskritihi. So what is meant by rejecting them? He gives a meaning for that. Dosha Smritya. Dosha Smritya Adikopeksha Anadaraha Ityartaha. So what he says is, the rejection of the worldly thoughts is nothing but disregarding them without giving them any importance at all. So when a person starts disregarding them, they will lose their power and they will stop slowly and gradually to arise at all. So they will stop from arising at all. So this is what is meant by tiraskara. That too, it has to be done with a firm idea of seeing the defects in them. So what was started in the earlier shloka, defects, the perception of defects in the objects, that has to be that has to be introduced here also to strengthen this idea of tiraskara of the vijatiya pratyaya. Ayam niyamaha uktaha. This is what is stated as niyama in Vedanta. Natu kevalam shauchadihi ityartaha. So he is making this remark so as to distinguish this from the Patanjala system niyamaha. So in the Patanjala system, there are 5 niyamas: tapaha, swadhyaya, shaucha, santosha, ishvara pranidhanani niyamaha. So here niyamaha. So there tapaha is actually a very, very rigorous or stringent austerity, practicing austerity like upavasa, or denying the normal sense objects or sense pleasures to oneself. So that is tapaha. Then swadhyaya is the study of scriptures related to adhyatma. So that is called swadhyaya. Some people have included japa also, japa, omkara and all that as swadhyaya. Some commentators have done that in the Patanjala system. Then swadhyaya, tapas, and shaucha. Shaucha is cleanliness of the body and the mind. Cleanliness, that is called shaucham. And santosha, that is keeping the mind in a happy state always. Whatever happens to the outside, in the outside world, and which definitely might affect this person, he maintains the a kind of happiness always in his mind. So his mind is always happy. So that is called santosha. And santosha is actually defined as tripti, that is contentment. So it is lack of contentment is what results in unhappiness. There is a very famous shloka or statement also: asantushto dvijaha nashtaha santushta parthivastata. So a person who, a brahmana who is not content, he faces downfall. But then a king, a ruler, if he is content, then he also falls. So what it means is, for a brahmana, he has to be content with what little he gets. He should be happy with that. But then in the case of king, he should never be this way, because the king's position demands acquiring more and more wealth and more power and all that, so that his subjects are kept in a very, very satisfied and a happy way. So for him, this is not a practice. But for a brahmana, santosha or contentment is a must. So that's so we can keep that in mind in trying to understand this. So shauchaha, santosha. So santosha is that, and then ishvara pranidhana is the faith or devotion to God, Ishvara, with the idea that whatever happens in a person's life, he submits it to Ishvara. Whether it is dukkha or sukha, he submits it to Ishvara as Ishvara's prasada only. So he never ever is dejected. So his faith or devotion to Ishvara is as the ruler of the whole universe, and the life of every individual, Ishvara takes care of that. So with this idea, he is extremely devoted to Ishvara. That is called Ishvara Pranidhana. Pranidhana means actually, literally, Pranidhana means puja. But here in this sense, it is, in this context, it is being devoted to Ishvara in the sense that he submits everything to Ishvara. Whether it is good or bad, whatever happens, he submits it to Ishvara. There is arpana buddhi. Everything is arpana to Ishvara. So it's not merely the Patanjala system in Yamaha, but it is actually much more than that. That's what is stated here. He iti Upanishad prasiddha. So here it is, he says, Bhagavad Pada says that these things are all very, very popular in the Upanishads. So there is one more question that is coming up. So we will take it up in the next class. We will end this session here. Shri Harim Paramanandam Upadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham Aparokṣānubhūti Prochyate Moksha Siddhaye Sadbhireva Prayatnena Vikshaniya Muhurmuhu Shastram Sharirame Mamsa Devastu Parameshwaraha Acharya Shankaracharya Santume Janma Janmani Vidyavine Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidushekara Bharati Om